Perfect.
I have a challenge for you and me, Andy.
Yes.
We are going to trade off making up backstories for the shift names.
Absolutely.
So that's Dawn Guard, Alpha Flight, Night Watch, and Zeta. Would you like to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Backstories for the ship names?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first desert bus began in an illegal squatter's house on the really bad side of Victoria. And what we would have to do is barricade the doors at dawn so that the cops didn't come in and kick us out. We were rebels back then. We were just scrappy, you know. So as soon as the sun started to come out, I was like, oh no, we got to start pushing couches up again. We used this chair to put in front of the front door so the fuzz couldn't come in, and that name kind of stuck, you know.
Yeah, and then we ended up with Alpha Flight several years later, because first it was just Dawn Guard, but we ended up with Alpha Flight because we got a sponsorship from a guy named Steve Dangler to do desert bus from a plane because he has a sick sense of humor. So what we did is we got everybody together. We got some snazzy flight jumpsuits, very cheap on AliExpress, and then they turned out to be not quite tested. So these were the Alpha run of the flight jumpsuits. So we ended up with Alpha Flight, and then the name just stuck after that.
Yeah, it's incredible how these things work out.
Yeah.
Night Watch was interesting. We had this phase where we kept making Matt go to the Twilight movies. And it became a bit of a thing. Eventually, we started playing the movies on all the monitors we could have at the time, and they started to resonate to a point where people couldn't actually fall asleep. Like the sort of the sound waves got to a point where your brain couldn't turn off. And that this would be a watch, and watch, as we know, etymologically speaking, comes from from Hamlet. He went into a watch, which means to stay up all night. So we used the Twilight series to keep people awake at night for the 6 hours it takes to do the shift. And again, it just kind of stuck. It's funny how these things.
And of course, our last shift, our most popular shift for a little while, but now not so much, was Zeta shift. And Zeta shift got its name. At first, it didn't have its name. At first, it was the shift that shall not be named. At first, it was like sort of a sin, unlike mentioning Voldemort, to mention the late shift, the shift between midnight and 6 a.m. before the zombies came out, but after James went to bed. But we decided we did need to name that shift because saying the shift that shall not be named was too much of a mouthful when you were trying to order food or coordinate a pizza delivery. The delivery driver, he just shows up at the door and he's like, I got 16 pepperoni pizzas for the shift that shall will not be named. And then he just starts reading that and he walks away. He takes your pizza because he thinks he's being pranked. And rightly so. So we went with Zeta shift because we decided to go with the noise that everybody makes during that shift because it's the middle of the night. People are just going... So we just, how can we... Zeta! Yes, that sounds wacky and appropriate and fun, and I'm sure that will convince people to be here overnight. And, that's how it just happened to stick.
Yeah. There you go. Put that on your wiki and smoke it.
Yeah. I have a